LA in a minute, and I'm here at LAX in front of the theme building, which was designed by Paul Revere Williams, a trailblazing African-American architect whose work has left a legacy all over Los Angeles.
And the same goes for former slave and female trailblazer Biddy Mason, known as the godmother of Black Los Angeles.
Biddy Mason's contribution to this city can't be overlooked and needs to be celebrated.
LA in a Minute creator Evan Lovett joined us with the history behind both Williams and Mason's remarkable contributions to our city. It is great to have you here in person.
It is awesome to be here. Thank you, Lisa.
I love the fact you did two videos, one for Mason and one for Williams. We're going to talk about both. I want to start with Williams because some of the most beautiful homes and public buildings in our city came from him.
Absolutely. So Paul Williams has physically left his mark around Los Angeles and the world. But more importantly, as an African-American architect, draftsman, designer, he was a true trailblazer and pioneer. He was the first African-American invited to the American Institute of Architects. And his story is insane. I mean, almost as important and impactful as the buildings that he's developed. I mean, let's start with the buildings, the Beverly Wilshire Hotel, which of course was in Pretty Woman.
If I forget to tell you later, I had a really good time tonight.
The Beverly Hills Hotel, he did the expansion and renovation, Saks Fifth Avenue building in Beverly Hills. I mean, the list goes on and on. But his story is amazing because in the turn of the 20th century, obviously a racist time, let's just call it what it is, he had this dream to be a designer, to be an architect, and nobody was telling him no. And even if they were, he was pushing through because he was left an orphan, right? And then so he had in his mind that he wanted to design homes to have that kind of home feel and life that he never had kind of growing up.
I want to say that his homes were really in high demand. He had a lot of celebrity clientele, right?
Architect of the stars.
He was the architect of the stars. A lot of socialites, particularly in Beverly Hills and Hancock Park, right? But those ladies who were having him build their homes couldn't sit on the same side of the table as Paul Williams.
So that's the story. So this is incredible. Aside from his obvious talent with those beautiful buildings, is he had to learn to do these drafts and designs upside down, right? Because as you said, he couldn't sit on the same side of the table. So even imagine just drawing your name upside down. It's terribly difficult. He's doing it by hand upside down, not just showing the drawings, but making amendments and doing the drawings upside down. Talk about fighting and overcoming obstacles. That is your man right there.
In addition to the homes and to the hotels and to the public spaces, he also developed houses of worship.
That's true. So he did the Second Baptist Church in historic South Central, but perhaps most notably the First AME Church, First African Methodist Episcopalian Church, which is right near Murray Circle.
And this is our connection to Biddy Mason.
I'm here at Biddy Mason Park in downtown Los Angeles to talk about one of the most underappreciated people in Los Angeles history. The Biddy Mason story is incredible. She was born into slavery in the early 19th century. Her slave owner led her on a wagon caravan to Utah, where he wanted to settle, an early Mormon. And on that wagon caravan, she had to walk behind the caravan, not just walk the 2,000 plus miles, but while caring for the children, while cleaning, while taking care of the cattle. So when she was in Utah, again a slave, the man, Robert Smith, made the mistake to him of moving to San Bernardino, California. Well, guess what? Slavery was illegal in California. Biddy Mason fought for her freedom. And when she finally attained freedom, which was granted by the court in, I believe, 1856, she started working, she started saving money, and she became one of the first and most prominent landowners, one of the first landowners that was African-American in Los Angeles, but one of the most prominent African-American landowners of the time.
And gave us the AME Church.
And she was the founder of the first AME Church in the 1870s, which is such a legacy. And she also was able to rent and sell property to other African-Americans, even in red line districts. So she was very important and instrumental for the African-American community in Los Angeles.
I gotta know before you go, what kind of feedback do you get when you do these pieces on these people who are so important to our history, but who had been sort of in the shadows?
You know, it's very good feedback. The Paul Williams piece, everybody is celebrated because they're familiar with his work and they know the homes, they know the name, but they didn't know the story, especially the upside down drafting, which is a great anecdote. But the Biddy Mason one, people haven't heard of her, and I sort of make it a mission to kind of get the story out there. She's one of the most important people in the history of the city, and she needs to be celebrated. All right, LA, it's been a minute. And the Biddy Mason Memorial Park is downtown on Spring Street, which is the location of where she bought her first property in Los Angeles. And it's a beautiful memorial, probably about a 50 to 80 foot wall celebrating her life with plaques, her legacy. It's beautiful. You need to visit and check that out.
Well, we love celebrating, Evan, your LA in a minute. And I also, though, have to celebrate your new podcast.
Oh, thank you very much, Lisa. New podcast, In a Minute with Evan Lovett. You can find it on the Odyssey app or whatever podcast apps that you use.
Evan, thanks so much. We love having you in.
Thank you, Lisa. Awesome to be here.